So this is a big question that many people ask is why wasn't my shelter insulated? And my plan was to let it be insulated naturally with snow. I was gonna the bottom part insulated as much as possible with snow around, and I did. The last few days I was out there, the bottom half of my shelter was very well insulated with at least 1.5 feet of snow thickness, and that's almost overkill. And snow is the best insulation out there for if you're below freezing. And my other thought was like, really wasn't as cold during my time out there. Labrador can get really cold, but we went out at the beginning of December, really early December, so it really didn't get as cold as it could have gotten. And because I spent time out in the winter, I know that it's nice to have activities, even if it's just a little bit every day, to warm up your feet, to warm up your body. So it's nice to have something to do, like insulating my shelter a little bit. So I just knew that I could insulate my shelter anytime and just do it slow. I didn't want to work and do everything fast. I wanted to do everything gradual, like an animal would. A beaver would not like do their shelter in like 1 or 2 days. They would do it over a long period of time, so I wanted to emulate that. Were you hallucinating when you saw the bear and the mole? And no, I was not hallucinating. This is the second time that I think I see a bear, a polar bear, and it's not. And it's really not surprising to me because you're out there, there's lots of snow everywhere, and that day there was lots of sunshine in a way in which the ice far away seemed like it was moving and it was the shape of a bear. And my eyesight's not very good. I don't see from far away very well, so my eyesight combined with the sun, combined with the ice, it seemed like there was a bear out there. But no, I was not hallucinating. Maybe I was a little bit more prone to thinking about that stuff because I was being worn out by sleep and all these things. But it really was a combination of my eyesight, and I really wanted to see a polar bear, and just it was perfect light for this mirage. And the mole was absolutely there, even though you can't see in the video. Like there was a tiny mole like this size running around in between the sticks and things that I had in my shelter. So yeah, that was not a hallucination. I could foresee, for sure, saw that mole. Were you concerned production would pull you out? I was always concerned with the medical checks. I did not like them. I don't think anyone likes those checks. When you're alone and you're in the wilderness and you're going through these challenges and suddenly someone's like, okay, we're gonna check your vital signs. No one appreciates that. And you feel like someone's judging you, because they're judging your health state. By the end, I was afraid that they would think that maybe I was not apt to stay out there. They weren't as scared about me, but they did have their worries and stuff like that. But they thought I had low blood pressure, and I did, but I was able to cope with it and not get blackouts and stuff like that. Why did you decide to fast? So from my experience and and research, I know that when your body goes through starvation and then starts fasting, you actually use less energy because your body knows that you don't have much energy, so it slows down. This has many advantages to be slow. You don't waste as much energy, and your body is able to do more with less. So I knew that on one hand, and on the other hand, because of my 6 months in the bush, I kind of know how much food I need to eat. Like actually visually, I know how much food from the wild I need to eat to retain my weight. And I just could not see that happening in those days while I had my fast. I just did not see me getting that much energy, and I did not see myself having like a return on calories invested from me trying to trap and hunt in those conditions during that specific time frame. After I ate lots of fish, my stomach kind of like had some troubles. It was kind of like a mild discomfort. It felt like I was having some air inside my stomach, and it was harder to drink water. So there were lots of small details like that that inspired me to do a long fast. And it was definitely nothing that I had planned before going there. It was completely in the moment that I came up with that idea, just because of the circumstances. And many people will think, oh, well, that's not survival. And my answer is that's absolutely survival. And you don't know what you're talking about. This question is, have you done a fast before? And no, I have never done a fast. Except maybe during short like training exercises for survival, where you're like maybe 3 days without food. I've done that, but I had never done a long fast. Explain some of the science of fasting. When you're fasting, your body slows down, so you run at a colder temperature, so that means you're using less energy. You have less available energy throughout your body, so it feels like you're slower. You don't have that ability to do lots of stuff, but you can still do stuff, but you're just physically you're forced to slow down. So that's some of the mechanisms of fasting. Your stomach also stops being as active, so it kind of goes to sleep a little bit, and that's good if you want to avoid hunger pangs too. Why didn't fasting tax your body? Fasting does tax your body, but in the circumstances where I chose to fast, I thought that it was less taxing than actually going out, using my muscles, walking, and struggling with the vegetation and all these things. I thought that was more taxing on my body than just like hunkering down in an effort to let the circumstances change, and then attempt again to hunt, fish, trap. Especially, I wanted to take advantage of the ice once it had frozen, but for a long period I couldn't access the ice because it was still not frozen. It was not as thick as I needed it to be. Did you plan to break the fast? Yes, I did. I had my objective of day 70, I'm gonna break my fast. How is the food reintroduction process after a long fast? So after a long fast, you have to be careful of what you're eating. You don't wanna introduce too much salt or potassium or things that can, like, your body, when you're fasting, your body is adapted to certain conditions, and if you change those conditions too fast, your body might not be able to cope with that change, and then you'll have metabolic disturbances. Basically, you can have things really affect your vital signs, and you can die. And that's what happened to some prisoners of war during World War II after they got fed. So that's why nowadays, most people that go through something like that, you wanna have them eat food slowly, gradually, and try to avoid certain foods. Basically, the best thing that you want is just what you were eating out there. How much weight did you lose? I lost a little bit more than what I put on, and this is because when you put on too much weight, your body loses it very fast. The more weight you're carrying, the more effort you're doing. So it's kind of like carrying water during a desert crossing. You don't want to have so much water that you're gonna get dehydrated just because of the effort of carrying that water. So it's a fine balance. And I still did not hit my lowest point in my life. That lowest point of weight I hit during my 6 months out there in the forest. What was the first thing that you ate back home? The first thing I ate that like my first night out at a restaurant was sushi. I didn't want something too rich and just too complex. And sushi is something that I really like. It's one of my favorite foods, and it's easy to eat. So that was awesome. Basically stuffed myself with sushi. What animals did you catch? I caught grouse, squirrel, weasel, fish, and the most animals I caught was fish. But unfortunately, the fish there weren't very big. Some were like really decent for trout, but nothing super big. Why didn't you ice fish? Because it was still technically fall, and even for the beginning of winter, the ice fishing regulations did not start until January, and we were there, it ended in December, so we were still bound by the summer fishing regulations, which meant that we had to have a rod in our hand, just one rod, one hook, and do fly fishing, which technically we didn't have to do fly fishing. We could do like just have that hook in the water with a rod, so that was a possibility. But the main factor of why didn't I ice fish is because the ice was not thick enough for me to go there, and the crew would not clear me until the ice was at least 4 inches thick. So ice fishing was not a possibility for me until the day that I went walking on the ice. Was there a restriction whose absence could have allowed you to stay longer? And this is a very interesting question for me. Hands down, the restriction that could have allowed me to stay there and like really thrive, I think, would have been if we were allowed to use gill nets. But yeah, it would have been awesome to use gill nets to fish, and then then use them under the ice. I think that was hands down the restriction that made my life more difficult out there. So why couldn't you eat the fish? You seen alone, there was an episode where it was hard for me to eat the fish and I was burping. I think my stomach just wasn't as active as it needed it to be for the amount of food that I was eating. And I felt some air inside, and I had to do like, honestly, I had like 1 or 2 days of just like had to burp every minute. It was ridiculous. Yeah, I just had discomfort, and it was harder to drink water. I still drank water, but that's what happened. Did you try to hunt a bear? I did try to hunt a bear. I tried to make the possibility of a bear hunt happen. It did not happen, but I did try. I was not actively hiking, trying to find bears, because that was a very long shot, and in my area, that was just asking for problems basically, because it was hard to walk, and yeah, there weren't any like old burns. So basically the bears would have known about my presence way before I could. For me, the only chance to hunt a bear out there was, in my specific location, was to try to have a bear come to me. And yeah, did not happen. Did not see many recent bear signs after the one that I saw and that was shown on the show. After that sign, I just did not see anything. How could I spend the night without a fire? So I had a good sleeping bag, and I also wore many of my clothes to bed and hats. My bed was pretty nice, well insulated, and my shelter was almost airtight, so I didn't have any wind. So that's how I could sleep at night without being too cold. I wasn't cold actually. And when I say I wasn't cold, it's like for a winter camper, I wasn't cold. Maybe if you're not a winter camper, you would be like, well, like that's being cold. But yeah, like for me, having cold hands and stuff like that is just a part of winter camping. But from that perspective, I wasn't cold. Why didn't you have a supply of firewood stocked for the winter? And one of the reasons was I actually did have some logs ready to cut. And one of the reasons why, when I spend 100 days in the winter, I realized that it's kind of nice to have something to do in the winter, especially during the really cold days. Really, cutting firewood daily is not that big of a deal if you have all the firewood gathered, like beside your shelter. So that's what I did. I had lots of logs there ready for me to cut in case I needed them. Yeah, and I think that's a better way, because then you do things gradually. If you cut all the firewood for your winter in the first few days, you might not be there later on. You may get pulled medically, so I think it's better to do things gradually. Did you go to a hospital after winning? No, I did not. I just got checked by a paramedic, checked my vital signs, and monitored while I had food. While I went through the food reintegration program, I didn't need to go to a hospital. I was okay. How hard has it been to reintegrate to normal life? It hasn't been too hard, because I live in a place where I can get my nature fix pretty easily. If I wasn't living here, it would have been really hard. this hasn't been hard. It was hard to adapt to electronics again, and just like TV and phone, WhatsApp, all these things. When I was at a hotel getting ready to fly back home, I turned on a TV and it felt insane. It just felt like I was on a spaceship going at like light speed. Just overstimulus, complete craziness. I really want to now go to my next stage of living in the wilderness and having a homestead and doing all those things, hunting, gathering, fishing. How has your recovery been like, and do you have any lasting health effects? I feel okay. I don't think I have any lasting health effects, but who knows? I feel fine, and my recovery has been basically just go easy on myself because I put a lot of pressure preparing and then through my time on alone and then finishing my book. So it's been this last year and a half for me almost. It's like it's been go 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 and lots of pressure. So now I'm just a little bit more relaxed and just not putting as much pressure of I need to do this, I need to do that, and just letting almost myself go a little bit. I think that it's good to be cyclical. So this one's again, it's about my book. Why didn't you wait till the end of the show to put it out? And the reason is people think that that could have been a spoiler, that I'm publishing a book because I'm the winner. Even if I had been the first person out, I would have gotten my book as soon as possible out, because I've been working on this for 2 years, and of course I'm going to take advantage of the publicity. Even if I had been the first person out, I would have done exactly the same thing. There's another question about my book, and it's what techniques does it cover? And it goes over fishing, trapping, hunting, foraging. It goes over fire, water, preparing, like scouting an area, your preparation, equipment. It's really quite comprehensive. It's over 400 pages long and over 400 images, illustrations. Did you have a feeling that you had won? Like by day 70, I knew that it was likely that there were only 2 or 1 other person out there, just because of past seasons, the challenges out there in Labrador. It's a harsh location for survival. So I just had that suspicion, but at the same time I didn't want my mind try to like convince me and have that expectation of like, oh, there's only 1 person out there, and then just think, oh, but it's day 90, what's going on, right? So I did not want my mind to play games with me. So I tried to suppress those thoughts. Yeah, right during that final time, like just before Jennifer came to me, I was starting to notice things like the med check felt a little bit more rushed than usual. Just little things, right? But I still wasn't sure if I was gonna be the winner, right? Until the last moment when Jennifer tapped my shoulder. And this goes with, why didn't you hear Jennifer approaching you? And I had like all these cameras looking at me. I was talking and I had my hat, I couldn't hear very well. And I was nervous. Did you have a target of days to stay out there? And my answer is yes, kind of. I had this piece of wood where I wrote here 100 days and my mantra, party on. I was tracking my days here with my multi-tool. From the start, I wanted to try to get to 100 days. As the weeks passed, I thought that was not super realistic. So it kind of turned into my target is getting to day 90. And then if I reached day 90, I was still gonna go as far as I could. Even if I reached day 100, I would have like continued until I was pulled out. Did you keep any souvenirs? So I kept this piece of wood. By the way, it's the same piece of wood that my bench was made of. How many days do you think you could have gone? I think I could have gone to day 90. Maybe past that, but I feel that's unlikely because that would have been up to the medical checks. But I think I could have gone to day 90. Why did you reject the broth? I had just drank 3 liters of water, so my stomach was pretty full. And really, I just wanted to go out in the ice with my partner and just like jump around and enjoy the moment. I didn't want to have have that bottle in my hand. I just wanted to be free and jump and enjoy. So that's why I did not drink the broth. Did you meet Carrie Lee, and how did that feel? When I got back to the base camp, the next day I heard that Carrie Lee was out there. Before knowing that it was Carrie Lee, I was a little bit like awkward about meeting the other participant because I thought like I felt a little bit guilty of we both have put almost the same amount of effort into being out there. We've spent the same amount of days pretty much, but only one gets all the credit and all the publicity and all the attention and the money. I felt a little bit guilty about that because it's me. It's that I am that person that's getting all these things, and the other person also did lots of amazing things, but they didn't get that. But when I found out that it was Carrie Lee, I was so happy because I know that Carrie Lee is wise, and she's just a nice person, and I really respect her. I'm so inspired by her and amazed. What did your win mean for you? For me, winning was liberating, was amazing. It meant that it was a dream in itself coming true, but also it meant that my dream of starting a homestead community could come true. All the effort had paid off to win alone, so on many different levels it was amazing, and I think maybe that's why it was so hard for me to realize that, okay, finally I did this. It was hard to internalize it. Would you do an all-stars? Yes, I would, but I would want to know more details, like where is it, what are the regulations. But yeah, I would do it for sure. What's next for me? Starting a homestead. That's my goal now. I want to do some survival courses and things like that, but my main thing right now is starting a homestead. If you like this video and you would like to follow me, get notified if there's another video that I upload, just please subscribe, and thanks for watching, and until next time.